Nintendo's been hopping on board the DLC bandwagon in more recent years, and for the most part, they've been handling it well. Sometimes the content is free, which I love with all my heart, while other times we have to fork over a few dollars that should hopefully not break the bank. They ship a complete game, and once that is done, they start cooking up extra content to release at a later date to increase the longevity of any specific title. One of those games that has received this treatment is the highly praised Mario Kart 8. 2 different DLC packs have been created for this crazy kart racer, with each including 8 new tracks, 4 new karts, and 3 new characters to race with. And the neat part is, it crosses over with other well-known Nintendo franchises. Awesome sauce! If you think about it, the base game comes with the familiar 32 tracks, but putting the 2 DLC packs together gives you 16 more tracks. That's adding a stupid amount of extra gameplay. Each DLC pack will cost you $7.99 on its own, but to give you an incentive to pick up both, you can get them bundled together for a meager asking price of $11.99. With both DLC packs finally available to download, are they actually worth it? Well, let's find out.
Hey Bradley, how's it going?
Wait, how'd you get in my video?
I'm everywhere, remember?
Oh yeah. The first DLC pack, which released on November 13th of 2014, actually crosses over with the Zelda universe, as everyone's favorite green-clad elf boy joins the roster of Mushroom Kingdom folk. And he really doesn't feel out of place. He fits right in with his famous Hi-Yahs and Master Sword to boot. Alongside Link though, we also get Tanuki Mario and Cat Peach, which honestly are the weakest of the bunch.
If you count the baby versions, that means that we now have 3 Marios and 3 Peaches on the roster, which is a little overboard. I can't say that they aren't adorable, but other characters from the Mario universe would have been a bit more ideal. But it's not a huge problem.
The 4 karts and bikes that you get include the Tanuki Kart, B-Dasher, Blue Falcon, which yes is ripped straight from F-Zero, and Link's trusty steed, the Master Cycle. They're all pretty darn cool additions, except the B-Dasher, since it's nothing new, it's from Mario Kart DS. Hands down my favorite though is the Master Cycle, because 1, it's a bike, 2, it has inward drifting, and 3, it's fashioned after Epona and has the glorious Hylian shield plastered on the side. Overall, the characters and vehicles seem to be more of a mixed bag, but really the bread and butter of the DLC are the 2 new Grand Prix Cups. The first set is the Egg Cup, which includes Yoshi Circuit, Excite Bike Arena, Dragon Driftway, and Mute City. Yoshi Circuit, which is a retro track from Double Dash, is probably the least interesting track of the 4. I'm not saying that it's not fun, but the track doesn't really do much to make you shout, wow, this track is cooler than ice cream. It's essentially just a race around an island with constant twists and turns, which is a nightmare when playing on 200cc. But anyways, the scenery isn't all that unique either, and altogether it's just an okay track.
Next up we have the Excite Bike Arena, which if it isn't obvious from the name alone, this course pays homage to the classic Excite Bike game back on the NES, as you race around an oval-shaped course with long straightaways, with many ramps and mud spots thrown in. This one's really neat and offers something quite fresh to the Mario Kart franchise, even though you could see it as a bigger version of Baby Park. Every time a race starts, the layout of the ramps and hazards on the course will change, so you won't know what to expect each time, and there's dozens of variations. It's also a blast to play this on 200cc because the lack of turns makes it so much more inviting, and you'll get some spectacular hang time on the wealth of jumps.
Dragon Driftway is another brand spanking new course, and quite simply, it's fantastic, with its Japanese aesthetics and huge focus on anti-gravity. I'm not exaggerating either, almost the entire track is made up of anti-gravity, except for a teensy tiny smidge at the starting line. And this is one of those courses where you can really sense the anti-gravity, because there is so much corkscrewing going on as you travel along the lengthy body of a wooden dragon that it can be disorienting. Also, trying to nail those sidewinders without flying off the edge in 200cc can be quite the challenge, but overall the track design is superb and it's visually unique.
But to round off the Egg Cup, there's Mute City, which is all sorts of awesome. It makes perfect sense to have an F-Zero inspired track in Mario Kart 8, since they both share the idea of anti-gravity, and matter of fact, this Mute City track is all in anti-gravity. So we're talking Bumper Car City. There are plenty of boost pads sprinkled throughout to give you that high-octane speed that F-Zero is known for, and the track becomes even more livelier and more in line with F-Zero when you tackle it in 200cc. Mute City might not be as good as the big blue F-Zero track in the second DLC pack, but it certainly cements itself as one of the best tracks in the first set of DLC. Plus, you get to listen to some sweet F-Zero music, so what's not to like?
Moving on to the Triforce Cup, we have Wario's Gold Mine, Rainbow Road, Ice Ice Outpost, and Hyrule Circuit. Wario's Gold Mine should feel quite familiar earlier, as it's a prettier and all-around better version of the track found in Mario Kart Wii, with plenty of dips, anti-gravity, and a dynamic layout that sets itself up as a standout track. It almost feels like you're racing on a roller coaster, as you're literally on minecart tracks, and the steep drops and inclines give it a wooden roller coaster vibe. And the quick-paced plucking of a banjo blaring in the background just makes the race feel more intense and faster, if that makes any sense.
No, it actually doesn't.
Shut up.
Rainbow Road is another retro track, and this time it's an updated version of Rainbow Road from Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. It stays very true to that old track, as the whole thing is a flat death trap with no walls to save you from soaring into the abyss. It's insanely simple, yet it requires a certain amount of skill, and there really isn't any other track in the game that is quite like this one, so it stands out.
Ice Ice Outpost, on the other hand, is one of the brand new tracks in this pack, and it's definitely one of the weaker choices, as it really doesn't go over and beyond in terms of introducing something never before seen. I like that there are two separate pathways to take at certain points around the circuit, but that's as far as it goes in terms of being interesting. It's slippery, I'll give it that, but it's just not one of the tracks I like coming back to.
And last but not least, we have Hyrule Circuit, which yes, is fashioned after the oh-so popular video game franchise, The Legend of Zelda. Even though it doesn't feel like the layout is very distinct, this track is really awesome as everything is themed after Zelda. You travel through Hyrule Castle, you pick up rupees instead of coins, piranha plants are switched out with Deku Babas, and your ears are graced with glorious Zelda music. One cool twist to this track is that if you hit the 3 pillars in the castle, you will open up a shortcut where you can jump into the Master Sword. It's just a nice nod to the franchise, and Hyrule Circuit feels right at home in Mario Kart 8.
But that's pretty much every single thing that the first DLC pack offers, and all put together, it's some pretty good stuff. But the second DLC pack just recently released, and I have to say, the first pack has been trumped all the way around. Nintendo did a better job this time with the 3 new characters, as we get 2 Animal Crossing representatives and the bony behemoth Dry Bowser. The villager can even be a boy or girl, so you essentially get 2 characters in one. But the villager and Isabelle are super awesome, and are now some of my favorite characters in Mario Kart 8. I normally don't play with heavyweight racers, but Dry Bowser has a nice design, and the thing I like most is the lava that outlines his shell. It's a nice visual touch that makes him really pop. The vehicles, on the other hand, are also in the same boat, as they offer some really neat designs that go toe-to-toe with the ones found in the first DLC pack. These include the Streetle and P-Wing carts and the City Tripper and Bone Rattler bikes. But again, the tracks are the meat and potatoes to this wonderful feast, and to put it simply, the courses are delightful and are even better than the first pack. The first cup, called Crossing Cup, begins with the fan favorite Oval of Doom from Double Dash, called, you guessed it, Baby Park. It's almost exactly how you remember it being, but Nintendo did add a twist to this bite-sized track. It takes place entirely in anti-gravity, so along with dodging a plethora of projectiles, you'll also be playing bumper cars in such a tiny vicinity. Baby Park needed to make a return, and Mario Kart 8 was the perfect place for that to happen, with the HD goodness, anti-gravity, and 200cc, which will have you zipping around those corners at the speed of light. It's glorious.
Cheeseland also makes a return from Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance, and it wasn't one of the DLC courses that I was especially fond of my first time playing through it, but the more I come back to it, the more I've come to appreciate it. I think what makes this track so off-putting is its visuals, as they do feel rather dull, especially coming after the wacky and colorful nonsense of Baby Park. It's supposed to be Cheeseland, but it doesn't feel very cheesy. It's sandy, and let me get this straight, I don't like sand in my cheese. The track itself, though, is rather Gouda, even though it doesn't go out of its way to do much that is particularly interesting outside of the humongous chain chomps. I'm not kidding, they're humongous.
Wildwoods is the first never-before-seen course that you'll encounter in the second DLC pack, and it's brilliant. It definitely gives me a Shy Guy Falls vibe, which is one of my favorite courses in the game, and it's probably because you drive through a Shy Guy village in a forest of trees like there's some sort of Ewoks, and they bring with them their little squeaky noises. The track is visually impressive, and it does include a number of different variables as you drive through the trunk of a gigantic tree, slide along a river of refreshing water, and do the tango across some lily pads. This Animal Crossing themed DLC pack, though, wouldn't be a worthwhile crossover without a track themed after the cheery and calming life simulator. And that's where the track, Animal Crossing, comes into play. To be honest, the track design is rather simple, with the lack of corkscrews, anti-gravity, or anything else to add a major wrinkle to the race. But that doesn't mean there isn't anything hiding up its sleeve, because just like how the Animal Crossing games have you playing through all 4 seasons, that mechanic is brought over to Mario Kart 8. When you choose the Animal Crossing course, it will randomly have you play it in spring, summer, fall, or winter, and each variation has different aesthetics and music. with some minor changes to how the course plays. Sure, the Animal Crossing track doesn't do anything super impressive when it comes to the actual race, but the environment surrounding you is what makes it so great. It's just a relaxing track, and the pleasant Animal Crossing music that you play along to makes it all the more enjoyable.
That then brings us to the fourth and final DLC cup, Bell Cup, which begins with a very familiar course since we just saw it in Mario Kart 7, that being Neo Bowser City. This remake plays it really safe, and it stays quite faithful to its original design. It doesn't go out of its way to do too much to make it flashier. There's a short strip of anti-gravity towards the tail end of the course, but that's really about the only change. The course already looked visually appealing on the 3DS version, but the added power of the Wii U has bumped up the quality a tiny bit. It's not a huge change since the track made its debut on recent hardware, but the more detailed water effects are a nice touch that makes it a bit fancier. Neo Bowser City is not going to be a particular retro course you'd be blown away with.
Ribbon Road, on the other hand, oh man, is this track awesome. It is most certainly up there as one of my favorite retro tracks in Mario Kart 8. Nintendo did a marvelous job reimagining this treasure trove of eye candy. They took the name Ribbon Road and ran with it, since you literally get to drive across flowing strands of ribbon that can give you a boost if you bust out some sick tricks. The course takes place in some kid's room, and it seriously gives me a Toy Story vibe. I'm just waiting for Buzz Lightyear to fly across the screen into infinity and beyond. Almost the entire track is made out of children's toys, as you'll see Mecha Koopas, Koopa Kart inspired Jack-in-the-Boxes, little mechanical toads, a castle playset, and wool outlining the track that's getting me primed for Yoshi's Woolly World. I don't know what the GBA version of Ribbon Road was like, but I don't care, because good gravy is not going to be better than this remake.
After Ribbon Road, you are graced with the presence of another phenomenal track, and this time it's Super Bell Subway, and if it wasn't apparent from the name alone, you get to speed through an underground subway system. Blasting around the twists and turns in the tunnel, you'll have to watch out for two separate subway trains, slowly but surely making their way to their destinations. And they really take up a lot of room on this track, so it can be tricky. You can also take the high route and drive above the trains on some narrow pathways, offering some variety on how you want to tackle the course. And playing it on 200cc makes it a little bit trickier to nail those alternate pathways. It's like the fan favorite Toad's Turnpike, but it's in a completely different setting and it has great track design.
I wasn't expecting the big end to cook up another F-Zero inspired track after the one that came with the first DLC pack. But nevertheless, Nintendo went against my expectations and has given us Big Blue, and it's a perfect way to round things off. I love the tracks that are just one continuous strip like Mount Wario, rather than the tried and true 3-lap courses. I like them because the course is constantly changing and different the entire time, as you never go through the same area twice. And this is exactly what Big Blue does, but it's all wrapped up in a bundle with F-Zero. It's all anti-gravity, there's plenty of boost pads, twists and turns, conveyor belts, and you get to experience all this while listening to a remix of the iconic Big Blue theme from the high-stakes futuristic racer. So, after a rather extensive look at all the post-game content that Nintendo has slapped together for one of their most popular franchises, are these two DLC packs actually worth it? Yes, they are. For just a low asking price of $12, you get to add a substantial amount of goodies that is essentially half the amount of content the game had to begin with. Plus, Nintendo did an overall swell job at reimagining old classics or crafting brand new courses for us to drift through. Sure, not all of them are the cream of the crop, like Ice Ice Outpost, Yoshi Circuit, or even Neo Bowser City, but the others that are mixed in with them make up for what they may be lacking. And with the game's latest free update, you can experience every ounce of it in the glorious 200cc, where it makes 150cc look like a leisurely stroll through the park. But I think that's enough Mario Kart 8 for today, so I will talk to you later, Hey Docs. Thank you for your helping hand.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna go,
be in every single YouTube comment section?
Yeah, that.
And that will bring us to the end of this review, and if you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up and add your favorites and all that good stuff, and you can stay tuned for more videos in the future. You can also check out Hey Docs' channel and see what tasty reviews he's cooked up, so there will be a link in the description below for that. But I will talk to you all later in the next video, guys. Bye!
How long? How long? Sorry, that probably hurt your ears. Everything I care about is what I am. I am the creation. I am the passion. I am the conversation. I am a... Ooh. Alright. Hyrule Circuit!